Sorry. Do we have any apologies for this meeting, Gina?
Yes, I've got apologies from Councillor Lord, Councillor Wildman, Councillor Chung and Councillor Butterworth.
Are we happy to accept those apologies? Yes, good. Item 3 is declaration of interest. Do we have any declarations of interest on any items that are on the agenda today? No? Right. Item 4 is the minutes to approve as correct record the minutes of the meeting held on Tuesday, the 21st of March 2023. Is there any issues with the minutes or questions that anyone wants to raise? Yes, David.
Thank you, Chairman. There is actually an error on the minutes. On a technicality, the minutes of the previous meeting shows Councillor Hurley as giving apologies on the 21st when she actually resigned on the 16th. So on a technicality, she couldn't really give apologies to a body that she was no longer a member of. So I think for the record to be correct, I think it needs taking off.
No, I won't. No, well, we'll amend those minutes. Anything else? No? No one has anything else. Apart from that amendment, is everybody happy with the minutes? And can someone propose them then?
I will just say before we do that, it did say in the minutes for, I think it was Councillor Coburn-Price to send pictures of the back plates. It's all right. No, it's all right. One of the lensmen went and did it, so you don't need to do it now. So just to let you know. Thank you.
Right, so can someone propose them as a correct record, please? Yes, David Clamp. Can I have a seconder, please, for these minutes? Glenda, thank you. All those in favour? Thank you. Public forum. We don't seem to have any public here. No. So we'll go on to item 6, finances. Paper 6A to receive a schedule of payments from the 15th of March to the 11th of April 2023 for approval. Any questions on 6A? Yes, David.
It's not a detailed question of any kind. I mean, I'm happy with the payments, so I'll move those. On the summary, obviously this is our year-end position now, so I'm guessing what we'll do then is look through this and see about any things to carry forward into next year, etc.
Not quite the year-end position yet because we haven't done the journals for the prepayments and accruals yet.
Ah, right, so. Okay, right, that's fine. But no, no questions otherwise.
So, are you proposing 6A then?
Yep, I'll do 6A and 6B if you want.
Okay, can I have a proposal for those two then? The seconder, sorry, for those. Jonathan, and for both of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
All those in favour of the finances? Thank you. Item 7 is allotment plots fee review. To consider the proposals from the Allotment Committee and the Finance, Employment and Services Committee regarding the proposed allotment rents from October 2024. Have anybody anything to add or anything to highlight? Yes, Sarah?
I'm not on the allotment committee, but I used to be. And I do think that we should support allotments and subsidise them. And they're a good thing for our community. And I'm really pro getting out there. We've got some great allotment holders, families, you know, children are getting the opportunity to go on grandpa's allotment, etc. But these allotments should not be so subsidised that essentially we're paying for somebody's hobby. And it's a fine line, isn't it? It's a fine line between saying, yeah, they're a good thing, we're pro them in Colne, getting out into the fresh air, growing your own. But actually, how much should each person be receiving extra from us? And that is in essence it. So I do think that they should probably go up every single year as a matter of course, so that we don't have this coming. I think it's wrong that they haven't gone up since 2017. And I would support the figure of FES rather than the lower figure of the allotment committee. It's £400-500, but I think it, shows that we support allotment holders, but we don't massively feather bed them. That's my view.
Has anybody else anything to say about them? Yes, Pat? Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay for the people. I agree with that totally.
When you put your
You'll be able to hear it above.
Right. Yeah, I agree with putting them up. And I agree with putting them up a little bit every year as well. And we've waited too long to put them up this time. But I think if we put them up to the top amount that the FES want, then it's a big surprise for everybody that has an allotment. So if we stick with what we've chosen and then put them up again next year, it won't be that much of a shock next year if we put them up a little bit more. Do you understand? Yep.
Yeah.
I think
I've got the chair of the FES.
I think the only point we'd make on that is that they're not going up until October 24 anyway. So in a way, I think when we discussed at FES, we thought it'd probably be okay for October 23 to be up to 38 pence, but then October 24 up to 40 pence. But we can't do that because you have to give 12 months notice. Hence the idea of saying, well, look, in 18 months' time, it goes up to 40p. So it's a long enough time in the future, I think we thought.
Alice.
We had a very long conversation about this in the allotments meeting. I was actually not really wanting at this present moment in time to increase them at all. But obviously, when we looked at the figures, we realised that that just wouldn't be acceptable, but that people are suffering quite a lot at the moment. People with allotments are often struggling as well with trying to find out where they're going to have places to grow things and that sort of thing. So it is a difficult time when all prices are going up. And I think we came to a reasonable figure with the 2 pence rather than the 4 pence. I think we shouldn't sort of have this blanket, oh, it's going to go up every year. I think we should look at it step by step. We need, though, to make sure that what we're spending the money on in allotments is proving to be a good investment. We've had a lot of extra costs just recently because we didn't actually spend a lot of money in 2019, 2020 because of the pandemic. But then, of course, we need to do an awful lot of extra work. Hopefully, having done that extra work, there won't be as many costs for the next year, but we just don't know. I think it should come to the full council to discuss every year, but that's just my opinion. And I would like to just have it at the 2 pence rise, as we agreed at the allotment committee, rather than the 4 pence that the FES.
Am I right that you've only spent about 40% of the budget in the allotments?
No.
This year they've spent about is it 40,000, I think, or something along those lines,
okay.
which is more than double what they would normally spend.
Right.
But as Alice said, it is mainly because previous years they haven't utilised the budget that they've been given, and when you don't do any repairs, etc., then there comes a time when you have to do them, which unfortunately was this year. And obviously with costs increasing, that's what's led to that big increase.
Well, is that a firm proposal, Alice, what you just
I
asked?
would like to propose.
Is anybody prepared to second that? David, did you want to, yeah, okay. David, do you want to say something?
My initial question is, has it been seconded? Because if it hasn't, I can move something different. And if it has, I'll have to move it as an amendment.
Pat,
Pat seconded.
yeah.
So in that case, then can I move an amendment?
I wasn't seconding it.
You were,
Oh, right.
Yeah.
so can I move something different then?
Yes.
I think it should have gone up before now, maybe only a couple of pence or whatever, but I think 5 years is too long to leave it without it going up. And everything else has took a hit with the council, with the finances, because we've put the precept up, and to a certain degree, we are still struggling with some of the budgets. And I don't think we can sort of nurse the allotments more than we currently are doing. So I would move that we put it up the 4 pence, which is the recommendation from FES. That's the first part of what I want to move. And secondly, we all know that it normally goes up in October, and each time we put an increase on, you have to give a full 12 months notice. So if we put it up now, we're actually giving 18 months notice that it's going up in October 2024. So I want to add a second part to what I'm moving, which is that each August of each year, not this year because we've already done it, but starting from August 24, we do a review of the allotment charges, so that if we were minded to increase it in 25, we could put the notice in 24, because we've got to put the notice in for the increase and give 12 months notice. So the second part of what I want to move is that we add on to it, that we review the allotment charges for the following year, each August, so that we can put notice in October at the meeting if we wish to do so. And I'll move that, Chairman.
I'll
Thank
second
you.
that.
All right, thank you. Right, we've got that motion to proposal. So can I ask people to vote if you're in favour of that? Thank you. Anybody against? Thank you. Well, it's carried. It's carried. And hopefully, if it's every year, we're not going to have 5 years where it's just, no. Item 8 is Castle Road intake allotment transfer. Gina?
Yeah, this is obviously work as part of the whole allotment transfer from Pendleborough Council. But this particular site is Castle Road and what was called Intake, King George's, because the land was actually leased from Pendleborough Council by Fields and Trust. So in order for them to transfer it to us, they have to do a deed of dedication, which is what this is. So obviously we're treating these two sites as separate from the other ones.
Right. Does anybody have any, you have the land transfer documents in front of you. Does anybody have any issues or anything to say about it? No. So can I have a proposal that
It's just to get authority for both myself and Mary to sign the transfer document, and I think the deed of dedication needed 2 councillors to sign and a witness. So I propose that I be the witness, and Mary as chair of the council and David Clegg as chair of FES sign it as well.
okay, is everybody happy with that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Item 9 is election review and councillor presentation.
Right. So the candidates that have put themselves forward for the town council this year are now advertised in the notice board. However, we do have a number of councillors that aren't re-sitting for the town council. So we do actually know that we'll be losing a few of you. So because of that, we did at one full council have agreed to a policy that we would recognise obviously service of councillors that that aren't sort of resitting or don't regain their seats. So Mary, I don't know if you want to say anything
Well,
whilst I'm
I
getting
just
the
want to
stuff together.
personally thank all the councillors for all the work they've put in day after day, week after week, helping residents, providing services, striving to make Colne a better place to live and work, protecting our green spaces and our heritage, and responding to problems, etc. So thank you very much for all the hard work that you've done. Yes. We might all be getting one of them next time, next week. No, you never know. We will. Oh. Yeah. But yeah, thank you for you know, putting yourself forward. I know it's not easy, and lots of things come along that you don't expect, but thank you very much for all your service. Really appreciated. Thank you. Shall we give them a right? Item 10. Well, I was just saying, you know, we might have. Yeah. Item 10 is the Great British Rhythm and Blues Festival 2023. It's just for information of how it's going.
Well, there's actually not much to update on from the last update that was given. I can confirm that the last catering pitch has been fulfilled now, and that is someone who's doing noodles, I think. Yeah. So different noodles on the day. We were a finalist for the award for the festival. Unfortunately, we didn't win this year. It was Upton Festival that actually got the award. That is a free festival. So
yeah, it's run by volunteers, isn't it? And yeah, I think it's an outdoor. Oh, no, it's not an outdoor one. It's I think some bits outdoor. Upton. It's in yes. Sure is it in Derbyshire? Upton, somewhere like that. Anyway. Yeah.
We have two of the winning tenderers for the catering have come back to say they will be using normal polystyrene trays. However, we're still waiting to hear back from the others.
Right. Yes, Alice.
Sorry, did you say that they won't be using? Or
No, they said they will be.
Oh dear. Okay. That's something we really need to address for next time, don't we? Top priority. Yeah.
I mean, there's only two that said they'll be using.
Yeah, we're still waiting for the others to get back to us.
And oh, sorry, Kevin. Yes, we could look at that, I suppose. Yeah. This year, I don't know.
It's something we could look at.
I don't know what your contract says. What our contract says. Do you know what it says, Nathan?
To be honest, I can't remember off the top of my head, but I will have a look in the morning what actually it states in the contract that they've signed. Hopefully we can get around it.
I think it just did say that it was recyclable materials were preferred, I think, in the actual contract.
Is it possible what Kevin says? I'm not sure whether you can differentiate between caterers once they've signed the contracts. I don't think you could perhaps then give, I don't know, I'm only asking the
You
question.
could offer money back if
If they used,
they use recycle,
yeah,
non-recycle,
yeah,
solid and recyclable.
I don't know. What to put, I have no
I don't
idea.
think that you'd be able to do something after the event.
No,
The tender's been given. So.
yeah. And how are the tickets going?
We have sold 185 tickets so far, and 67 camping pictures.
How does that compare with last year?
Well, it's very different. They only went on sale in April last year.
Yeah,
So at this point, we probably only sold about 50.
right. Okay,
But, yeah.
yeah. Anybody, any other questions? Yes, Howard?
Just going back to the use of recyclable, biodegradable containers. I think we've got to be careful because there are all the existing takeaway suppliers in the town that don't use them. So we might be seen to be penalising. So I just think it's a bit more complicated than just saying you can't. And certainly, if they don't use them this year, I don't think we can say we can alter the because they're accepting it on the terms that we sent out when it, as Nathan said, preferable. So if they, someone might say, oh, well, if I'd have known, if I'd have used them, I'd have. Yeah, I think we'd have to specifically say.
Most use.
If you used a recognised, there must be a British standard of recyclable packaging. So I mean, there's British standards for everything else. So I think we would need to write in that if you use BS XYZ, we'll give you a reduction. But again, you'd need to prove, or they would need to prove that they'd use them and not just.
Yeah,
I'm only in favour.
we would
of it, but
have to police it on the weekend.
I think it's just more complicated than
Yeah.
just saying
How
do it.
would you police it?
Yeah.
On that weekend? Alice, you wanted to come in.
I mean, we're giving these people a tender to come into the town and to sell their product, and they're coming in and selling it in polystyrene, which to my view, it's not acceptable. But I know the argument was that if we don't, we won't get the money back from them. And the town council will lose out. I'm saying we've got so many local businesses who are selling food. The majority of them are not selling them in plastic containers. So I don't think we should really be going down the route of saying that we would have these traders in unless they can actually put their food into something that is more sustainable.
Yes, Pat.
What about warning them? Like, for instance, when we, at the end of this year, letting them know that by 2025, we will only be taking food vans and what have you onto our streets, providing they're using disposable,
Recyclable.
recyclable stuff. It gives them 18 months, 2 years, don't it, to think about it. And if they don't want to come, somebody else will sell the food. It's up to them. It depends how much they make while they're here. If they make a lot, they'll make an effort. Well, I
Yeah,
think so.
very well. I mean, I see what you say, Alice, but when you said there's other places in town that you can buy food, but you can't, it's all down one end, isn't it? It won't, you won't be able to get what they have in the stuff. Yeah.
Even if they just have to walk a little way it's much better for them to do that for the environment than to have to pop across the road to get a burger or some noodles in a polystyrene cup. I mean, you've got to think about weigh these things up, really. I prefer them to have to walk to do that than not.
Yeah, I mean, have you got a pizza van? A Mexican?
We've got the Thai.
There's also
We've got Thai one.
Thai. There's Thai van.
So the food vendors that we've got a burger unit, we've got the Thai van, we've got Istanbul grill, we've got the noodle van, and then we've got another burger van for that weekend.
Yes,
Yeah, I think as a council, I mean, last time, I think we should be setting an example that Colne is a green area. And of course they're going to use polystyrene. It's cheaper
yeah,
and they want to make the maximum profits. And we're the suckers.
yeah.
We're the absolute suckers. And I would like it minuted that next year it will be insisted upon. It
Yeah.
will be
I don't think we can do anything
not
this year.
not
because
this year,
we've
no.
already got the
But
tenders out and it doesn't say.
we
that
mentioned
have
this
to
last
use-
year anyway, and it got forgotten. So I'd like it minuted now on record that next year that will be the case.
Yeah, are we? Pat and then David.
We've got pizza place up there, we've got Chippy, Wall Street, Chippy's wherever you want it. And if you like to go on the road, it's further than people that are going. You know, I've been saying for years, this blues festival should reach Skipton Road. And all the traders up there are saying, why is it not going to us?
Well, this year it's all up here. It's all up here this year because the Muni's shut, Little Theatre's shut. Yeah. So it'll all be around this area.
And the other businesses do open over the weekend. So the chip shops and all the other takeaways do open and get a good trade over the weekend.
David.
I think one thing you've got to be careful of, Chairman, there are local businesses that sell takeaways in town that are here all the year round. And we have no control over them whatsoever as to what they sell their products in. They can use what they want. And it's also a fact that every time we have the Blues or any other event for that matter, we make a certain amount of money out of letting these pictures, which contributes towards the overall cost of the event and makes the budget balance for that event. And if you're not careful, you will penalise some of the traders who come from outside, who have a stall. You'll penalise them and say, you've got to do this and you've got to do that. And the resident takeaways that are here all the time can sell it in what they want or sell it not packaged at all. They can actually do what they want. And if you penalise the traders that come in and have a stand too much, you will shoot yourself in the foot and you will lose the income that actually goes towards the overall cost of the event. So I think you've got to be very careful how you do it.
Thank you. Sarah.
I think we're talking pennies really. And I think just like that enormous pallet of peat compost that's in the hall of this council, and we had peat-free compost rather, sorry. And we had a big discussion about that. We should be seen to be leading. And yes, it could be that there are places that have polystyrene in this town, but when it's seen to be the norm to use a bamboo tray or whatever, then we all accept it. Times change, and we should, anything that's badged and branded as our festival, we should be leading with this and making it a virtue, because we all know, those of us that have volunteered, the vast amount of waste that Pendle Council has to pick up, and you know, we know that all of that polystyrene is going into landfill. I honestly think that, I know it's a discussion for next year, but I think it's a discussion that is clear. It's pennies for the traders, and they could reflect it in their actual prices of their final offering.
Are you proposing that then?
Well, I actually think that it's probably something for the Blues Working Group, isn't it? This kind of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
It's for next year, isn't it? Rather than this full
Yeah.
council.
Yeah. Okay, we'll make sure it's on the agenda. The first meeting after the Blues this year. Okay. Item 11 is Colne Neighbourhood Plan. Where are we, Sarah?
Well, the examiner has reported, and it's a really, really long document. And if I'm honest, there's a lot more analysis that needs to be done and thinking. I have thoughts. Michael Wellock's got thoughts. The thoughts are not crystallized. We need to be really clear and correct in our response. It's 40 something, 50 pages. So that's ongoing. I think what this council needs to do, or this new council next year, is prepare for our election process for the neighbourhood plan. And obviously by that time, the report will be published, but we're just at this fact checking stage right now.
Okay, any questions? No? Okay.
Can I ask one question, Chair? Sarah, do we have any indication at all at this time as to when it is likely to go out for the full-blown consultation?
No, we don't. I'm envisaging, but this is just my guess rather than, or well-informed opinion, that when we've put our response and Pendle's put its response, then the examiner sort of amalgamates that and then publishes the report. I would imagine that that's a fairly swift process, just like it was a fairly swift process for his report to come after the public. I would like to hope that we would get ours in the next week. And then if you think that he might spend another week, 2 weeks, so we'd have the publication of the examination then, which of course gives further planning weight to our plan. But then we have to wait for Pendle to implement all of the things. Well, how long will that take? That's a bit of a how long is a piece of string, isn't it? Yeah, and then they have to wait for that to be signed off, not P&R, it'll be another committee now, won't it? Another committee will sign it off. I think it might even be full council, I don't know. So whenever that is, so will that be the mayor making one in May or the other one that's in the summer? I don't know. And then the 6 weeks starts from that vote. So I would think that we would be doing the neighbourhood plan referendum this summer.
Did he have to anything to say about the green spaces?
I'm not allowed to say, I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, there's one that is very important to see. No. Right, we'll go on to planning then. Okay. The first one is application number 23/0176 /FUL. It's land to the west of Garfield, Keighley Road, Colne. It's erection of 3 dwellings with new vehicular access from Keighley Road. It is in Colne, yeah. Yes, Sarah.
I'm really surprised by this. I'm just intrigued. I don't know, those of you may remember that there were 2 new houses that were passed that mirrored each other, and they were low profile and modern with grass roofs. And the idea was they'd make a minimal impact. Now, according to this application, the one that's closest to Laneshire Bridge is still proceeding as planned. And then the other one, which was its twin, is this. And I'm just a bit, because it's a bit odd. Because this one was this, all the fine words around this low, modern, it was deeper at the back than at the front, it was grass, roofs, it was this. And then this, which is probably the most traditional thing you could see, certainly from the front. It's very strange.
I assume the person who lived there is not living there anymore.
Well, there's nobody living there, it's land.
Oh.
It's just very odd. It's the same owner. They've they appear to have just changed. They have?
Yes, Howard?
I think they've done some adding up and thought, oh, two won't bring them the money back. So,
Is it still going to be bought?
what in fact we're getting is a 30% increase in houses. And however much, you know, we may have liked or disliked the sort of upside down designs that were put there, they would have had, as Sarah just said, a minimal impact. These are just a bog standard, could be anywhere house. Two, I think, was the limit, and I think 3 is trying to. It's just they've done the sums and they can't sell 2 the same. I think is what happens. I no reason to.
What do you want
That's just a
council to
guess.
say?
I think we should object on the grounds that this will be an overdevelopment of that plot.
Any other comments? Does any? Yes, Sarah?
I don't think we can say that. It's not a conservation area, it's a sort of suburban area. And I don't think that they are ridiculously cheap by jowl, actually. I once asked Tim Webber why it was that people would pay so much money to live in those big houses by the old grammar school when they could actually have a house with a big garden or whatever for the same price. And he said, some people value their leisure time and they want to spend it having leisure rather than slaving in the garden. I don't know those people, they must be odd. But there are those people and it's a lifestyle. And I don't think that these probably are squeezed too much onto the plot. I don't know what the rest of you think. If you actually look at the plans, it's not like, oh my goodness, they don't have space to turn round. Perhaps the original plans were lavish. What struck me as really strange is that they are stylistically diametrically opposed. And it's the same developer. And I just think it's really odd that they would do that. I can see that the economics work, but I don't think that it is overcrowding.
Well, what was it?
The argument was lost when the permission for the was first given. I would have been opposed then, but that's when the case was lost.
Is there anything we can say then? No.
Yeah, we don't like it. But there's nothing we can do.
Okay.
Chairman, am I right in, when I say this with that site, that there has been previous applications on that site before, one of which was approved and one of which was refused? What was it refused for? There's been 2 applications there before.
Blank.
One got approved and one didn't. One got refused. And I think this is probably nearer to the one that got refused. The one that got approved has actually set a precedent in a sense, hasn't it? But there was also one refusal there in the past.
No, shall we leave it to Pendle's planning committee? If we can't think of what.
To be honest, my honest opinion is it's just green, but.
Yeah. So are we saying nothing? Yeah. Okay. The next one is 23/0142/HHO. It's 91 Birtwhistle Avenue, Colne. Conversion of front garden into off-road parking. Well, I think there's so many doing that. Yes, Sarah?
With my climate emergency hat on, there's a heartbreaking picture of this house that's obviously meant to persuade you that you might like to put a 4x4 on it. And it's this lovely lush hedge, which obviously would be a habitat for thrushes and all kinds of things. And it's going, obviously, and there's nothing we can do about it, Mary absolutely says. but we are the town council, so we can put a sort of curveball suggestion in there. And I actually think, wouldn't it be great if we at least said, we'd like to see some replacement planting, whether it's shrubs or a little tree or something that just removes the sterility of the hard paving for vehicles.
Howard?
I think the problem is this is probably the umpteenth, where umpteen is quite a large number, all the way along there. And the basic problem is that when Birtwistle Avenue was built, I think it was thought that people that were going to live up there wouldn't have a car. Now, your average family has sort of 1.5 cars, and up there are many multi-vehicled, because some of them aren't cars, they're vans and caravans and all sorts that people are storing up there. I think, we can ask for planting, but I think the chances of getting as good a replacement is pretty minimal. Another problem with the hedges and hedgerows, they're not hedgerows, the hedges up there, is that they tend to reduce the pavement width as well. I think the one thing that we can legitimately ask for and hope to get is that the covering of the ground is in a I don't know whether porous is quite the word I'm looking for, but this type of material that lets the water soak away rather than run off into, well, if it runs off into Birtwistle Avenue, it'll just help its demise much quicker because the road is falling apart, but that's a separate issue. So I think
we've got
the least we should ask for is
porous surface and some planting.
The permeable thing is now compulsory by law.
Oh, is it? It's all right. Also, just some
Just
planting.
replanting.
To
Replacement planting, yeah.
The next one is 23/02/4 HHO. It's 14 Snell Grove, erection of double-storey side extension and single-storey rear extension, erection of a boundary fence and the demolition of an existing garage. Any comments? Sarah?
I've written in my notes, it's a symphony in grey. Everything is grey, the windows are grey, the
Yeah.
roof is grey,
It'll soon
doors are grey.
be. It's because it's fashionable.
The weather's usually grey round here. It might even be completely invisible in certain weather conditions. And I know it is the fashion,
It is. It is.
but honestly, would that gladden your heart if you wanted to come home? Look at that. I don't know. There's nothing we can do. It's not a conservation area. It's all permitted development, really, HHO, whatever. I just find it a bit, yeah.
Yeah, but it's a bit like the other. Just because we don't like it doesn't mean we can say,
Right, no comment then. The next one is the Grove, Skipton Old Road. It's just the removal of a sycamore tree. Subject to a TPO. Okay with that. The next one is 23/0168 HHO, 114 Harrison Drive, Colne, erection of a 2-storey extension to rear to form a dining lounge on the ground floor and 2 bedrooms on the first floor. Yes.
I think actually we should probably put something positive about this on the basis that here is a 2-storey extension that's properly designed and well done. You know, it's not like got a flat roof. It's not coming round the side. It's not obscuring all the neighbours' light. It's actually a pleasant, well-designed extension.
Are we happy then to say No comment or supported?
Perhaps we ought to say
Well done.
it's well designed. Wish they were all looked as good.
Well done. Right, 23/0177 FUL. It's Prospect Farm Caravan Site, Lenchers Road, Crewe. Sighting of 6 static park. I thought we just got rid of all the ones. Oh, wow. Well, I was just making a
Muttering.
remark. A remark. Oh, yes, I've seen this.
I see it every morning,
No, I've seen this plan. Is it still the people that, is it the newish people that own it?
Yeah, I think. it is.
Yeah,
I think from, well, Sarah will remember wandering around the fields below Langride. I think Michael, whose second name I forget, said that he'd moved off there and it was in new ownership. Certainly,
oh, the fella that was in the Langride Wood,
yeah, when we were
yeah.
Really, the precedent is set, and it's making, I think, changes into more permanent rather than
Yeah,
short-term lapse.
okay, yes, Sarah.
I think this has been incremental. So it's a bit like that one that we discussed first, which is, would we go for this if this was a field today? That's not what's in front of us, but the answer is probably not. But in the design and access statement, a good point is made that's in the neighbourhood plan, which is nearly everybody that lives there is over 55. And we make a point that there aren't enough bungalows, there aren't enough single floor living. You know, the reason that Councillor Butterworth's not here tonight is he's moving into his bungalow. We haven't got enough of these in Cone. And when there are new housing estates, they never ever build them because they're greedy for land, and these take up more space because they're on one floor. I suppose what we can say is that here we gain another 6 bungalows for Cone, which is probably quite needed. Would we vote for it if this was a green field and this was proposed tonight? No, we wouldn't. Does this make a massive difference to what's there already? Not particularly. Does it add 6 bungalows in Cone? Yes, it does. So on balance, I'm thinking probably no comment.
Okay.
But I wouldn't go and live up there. I mean, I want a bungalow, and I'd love to live up there. How the heck do I get there? I have to take a taxi out to Walton Street to get out, so, you know, I'd be really stuck there, so it's not 6 more bungalows, really, because most of the people I know that want bungalows are old people, like me and Neil. Sorry, Neil.
Oh, yeah. The next one is 23/0128/H81. It's 14 South Valley Drive, erection of single-story extension to side. Is this the Plum Hills area? South Valley. Yeah. Any comments on this? No?
It could be a lot worse and it could be a lot better. It's sort of a bit nondescript. I only had a quick chance to look at it late this afternoon. The saving grace is it's a long way. It's number 14 is quite away from 16, as you can see on the plan there.
So we just say nothing.
But it also shows that some more modern houses, you end up people having to extend them to meet their requirements because they can't afford big houses down Grenfell Gardens,
Yeah.
for instance.
Okay, so 23/0221/KDV, Tesco, advertisement consent of a 5 spacier sign, a one projecting sign in and vinyl, and a disbond panel. Anybody know what that means? Oh, that. Is it any different to what we've got now? Oh. Have they got that on the side anyway? Yeah, have
Yes.
they? Yeah. Yes. Right. Right. Okay. Nothing we can do. So.
No wonder their profits have gone down. They're putting vinyl on all their shops.
Okay. The next one is 23/0148 FUL, Pendleborough Council, Gibhill Road, Nelson. Change of use from agricultural grazing land to local nature reserve. Sarah?
Withdrawn.
It has been withdrawn, but I think we could use an opportunity here. In the management plan for Gibhill, it says that Combe Town Council should be involved and Nelson Town Council should be involved, something I agree with. And before this meeting, David questioned me about this, and I said to him, the designation of the local nature reserve isn't related directly to this planning application. The two are two separate things. So I think that, albeit that we can't discuss this planning application and the fact it's been withdrawn, what we could do, what we could choose to do, is write as Combe Town Council to say that we, Combe Town Council, very much support the submission of the form designating Gibhill, which is 40 acres, 7 hectares, I'm just changing from imperial effortlessly to metric here, that's in Cone. It's important to our residents, and we could ask them to submit the designation to Natural England as a matter of speed. And if we did that, I think a lot of people would support us in that view.
Well. Yes, Alice.
I was just wondering, why has it been withdrawn?
Well, you can't answer that.
I just asked that question.
Oh.
It's not like what did.
And I caught it.
Yes, no, we can.
So we're not allowed to.
We're not.
I think that the way we should word it is that we know the planning application is withdrawn, but get on designated.
Yeah, are we all happy with that? Yeah. Good. Item 13 is correspondence received. We had in it?
No.
No. Items for the future month's agenda. Well, yes, Sarah.
Especially our town. We didn't get people suggesting times. You know, we tried, didn't we, on our little Facebook attempt. We got some engagement, but we didn't get people suggesting times when it would be good. So I just think we should just schedule a time and just promote that and see who pitches up. So Gina, thinking about your officers, I'm guessing you're not fancying the weekend. So therefore it's in the week. And I think it's best sort of when people have finished work, say 5:30, 6 o'clock in these lighter months. And I think we should just schedule one to suit you. And if we get enough time to promote it, we'll get people to come along with us. You know, pick up the Pendle, different people. I know that we will. We just need to bite the bullet and do it.
Okay. Item 15 is date and time of next regular meeting, which will be Tuesday, the 16th of May. So we may see each other at that meeting, or we may not. So thank you for all your patience and how you've all conducted yourself and worked together on such as the neighbourhood plan, planning, etc.